So are we on, John? Can you hear us? Okay. So today we're going to do things just a little bit different. I'm going to be basically interviewing our speaker today, who I met. We were talking back in January, February.
Yeah.
And I'll share a little bit about myself. I ask everyone, what do you do for fun? Well, sometimes people ask me. What I do for fun is meet strangers. Because I believe everybody has a story and I find them fascinating. And back in January, February, I met this stranger who's not a stranger anymore.
Yeah.
But he has an incredible story that he's going to share. Ezra and I met over in Elizabethtown at Guillotine Cigar Lounge, smoking a cigar and drinking a bourbon, right?
That's right.
Okay.
That's correct.
Now, this wasn't what I was expecting when I met this young man, but he told me that he used to be Amish.
Well, I think you
and raised.
maybe asked me why Smucker, Amish last name. You were like, you grew up Amish, something like that. Because he brought it up. Because then I had to share. I don't usually don't share that I grew up Amish because you get lots of questions.
Well, you might get some questions here today, but
that's fine. No, that's
okay.
fine.
I'm going to ask just one question of you, and then we'll get into some slides that he has to share.
Yeah.
So there's one question. I've talked to different people and said, our program today is Ezra Smucker, entitled "Born Amish." I said, okay, well, there's lots of people that are born Amish.
Yeah.
I said, but he's not. Well, the one question is, why not?
Why not?
Why? You were born Amish. Why did you decide to leave the community?
Yeah. So the reason I decided to leave, so I grew up Amish. I was 17 years old when I left the Amish. But I believe there was more to life than just being so the Amish they're amazing people, right? But you're kind of cooped into the one, you're just living, you have just like a box. You're in a box, right? So you can go out and experience life and still be a Christian and know Jesus and have a relationship with Jesus, right? So I knew that, but growing up, I was taught that if I'm not Amish, or if I have a tattoo, or if I have piercings, whatever it is, that I'm going to hell immediately. That's why I was born with knowing. So when I was, I knew after a certain point in time, I knew that was a lie, because that's not the truth. Anyone can go to heaven if you have a relationship with Jesus Christ. That's what matters, relationship with Jesus Christ. You don't have to be religious, because I'm non-denominational. I'm not, I would say I do believe in Jesus. I read the Word, but I'm not when I think of religion, I think of you're put in this box, because I grew up Amish. So you're in this box. You have to wear black pants, suspenders, and a straw hat. And if you don't do that, you don't have a chance to go in heaven, and that's a lie. So growing up, I believed that for some time. My oldest brother, he left the Amish when I was, I think, 11 or 12, and that kind of opened my eyes. I was like, well, there's probably more to life than just staying in this community. Yes, I'm still connected with my family, with people in the community. My parents did leave then in 2020. They recently left after there's 6 of us, 7 with me in my family. And so my oldest brother left, then my next older brother left, then my older sister left, then I left, and then my oldest sister left, and then my parents left, and my 2 youngest siblings. So kind of over a course of maybe 6-7 years, right? And then my parents, my dad was a pastor, an Amish preacher. So it's a big deal, right? So that he left. But, after seeing how the kids were living, we still lived at home. We we weren't in a plain community. I grew up in Millersburg. So I would say they're less conservative up there in certain areas. There's certain areas where there's more plain. If you go to Peach Bottom in Lancaster, extremely conservative, but where I grew up, less conservative. I grew up at 10 years old. I had an iPhone, an iPod Touch is what it's called. But my parents didn't know about that. But I had friends that I bought it from. But they do now. But anyway, so that's how we were less. And I grew up my parents had a business, garden center, so we had Wi-Fi at home, and so that's how that works. So I had Wi-Fi. But that was back in 2011. So my parents, Smucker Gardens up in Millersburg, Smucker's Farm. We have a nursery, and then my brother took it over recently, and they kind of are growing like extremely. They just built a nice big facility. So that's kind of a little bit about me. Grew up Amish, and then the reason I left is more or less because I know there's more. Everyone can have a relationship with Jesus Christ. You don't need to be Amish. You don't need to be you don't need to be Mennonite to have a relationship. Yes, you can be, and you can still, like the Amish do have a relationship. Some of them do, not all of them. Some of them live in a box for all their life, and then don't get to experience life to the fullness. So, yeah.
So, how old were you when you left?
So I was 17.
17.
Yeah, so
okay.
I was born in 2000, so in 2017 I left.
Okay. So, and I'm very, very impressed, with this young man and what he's doing at a very young age. How old are you now?
23.
23. 17 to 23. And he's going to talk a little bit about, what's happened. And he's got some slides to share about what happened, what he did from 17 to 23, and maybe a little bit about, where he wants to go, in the future.
Yeah.
But, this is why I enjoy meeting strangers, because everyone has a story, and I find them fascinating. Many of them I met, and talked to once. I'm happy to be friends with Ezra. He posts on Facebook all the time, and I'm just going to mention this one.
Yeah.
That he posted like yesterday or the day before, that he thinks we need to file a class action suit against the city of Harrisburg. Anyways, if he wants, he can tell you more about that. But let's get into your story about, how you got started in business.
Yeah.
And how you've expanded and where you're at.
Yeah.
So you've got
some slides here. But yeah, so I started my business in 2019. So a little bit of kind of backstory. 2017, I left, right? And then after 2017, in 2018, in the fall, I decided to do YWAM, a DTS, it's a discipleship training school with youth with a mission. YWAM, and they're all across America, all across the country, or all across the nations. So I went to Australia in Newcastle in 2018. That was just right after I left the Amish. I flew to Newcastle, spent 6 months over there. So when I was over there, basically we would, it's a gap year. A lot of younger people go there usually. There's like, you might see 30-year-olds in the class, but it's like mostly younger people that will join this organization. And usually it's a 6 month program, gap year. And so I did that in 2018 in the fall, and I went to Australia, Newcastle, and then every day we would dig into like topics of listening to the Holy Spirit, understanding how the Father's love works, and just understanding how the Father works. So that's how that was that, and then we have so 6 months is a total, but 3 months we go on outreach. I went to Papua New Guinea and Sri Lanka through that. So we went to outreach. Basically, we would go into the tribes and we would share the love of Jesus Christ, whether by serving, helping them with whatever they need, and playing with the kids, teaching them, showing them the love of Jesus. And so I spent 3 months a month in Papua New Guinea and a month in Sri Lanka, and in Aragon Bay. Sri Lanka it was a surfing. It was like we were with Surfing the Nations, so we were like hanging out with kids, surfing, and then in the evening we would be teaching the word, and if they have questions they would ask. So that's kind of a little bit how that started. And then in 2019 when I got back, so in 2019 I got back in the spring, and then I wasn't sure what I was going to do with my life, because at that point I was just like, I'm 19 years old. I don't really know. I just got back, and I was like, well, I'm just going to go back to work. But I decided to be self-employed and would work for other contractors as a sub. And so you have a chance to make a little bit more money. That's why I did that. And then I believe like it's in my my background, my bones. Like my grandpa had a business, and so like I think it's just a part of who I am, and I really love business, and I wanted to pursue that. So I came back. I thought I would go do missions again, but I didn't feel peace about it, so I decided to start my business. And so I started Equitable Builds in 2020. 1/1/2020 is when I established the business. So yeah, that's when I started that. So right now, I just want to share a little bit about what I do for fun before I get into what I really do like at work. But yeah, so I like to cycle. I spoke at an event recently, a real estate event in Harrisburg at the Hilton, with one of my friends from that does a lot of real estate in the city there. So I like to speak. I like to. I'm not perfect at speaking, but I want to get better at it, and kind of like continue to pursue that kind of career as well. I love cycling, so when I cycle, I like to push myself. Sometimes I'll be cycling like on last Saturday, I cycled 28 miles in an hour and 40 minutes. It's not like terrible good, but at the end of the day, I was with a group of 3 people, and I could have pushed myself a little bit harder, but we were having a good time. We were talking and we were cycling, right? So averaging 15.9 miles per hour on a cycle for an hour and 40 minutes. That's fun. And then this the guy in the red shirt over there, that's Patrick. He's one of my business partners. I met Patrick in Harrisburg, right next to one of the properties that I owned that he was working on. And that was earlier on in the spring. I met him, and 2 months ago we started a partnership, and we own like I think 6 or 7 units together now. 2 months ago. So, and then that was at our company picnic last Friday. We had a company picnic with all our guys and with my partner. So, building relationships, networking with people, cycling, that's what I enjoy doing. I have a dog, Nova. I bought her in 2020. I was like, I want a dog, so I went and got a dog. And then the reason I got the dog is because I have blue eyes, and she had blue eyes, and she's amazing. She's adorable. And Huskies are so full of energy. That I did not realize, but yeah. So got myself in trouble there but thankfully I have housemates. So I'm not married. I have housemates. I house hack. So what I do is my company owns the house that we live at, and I rent out each room for $5.90 a piece plus utilities. So right now I have 2 other housemates, but they also love the dog, and they take care of her. They might take her on walks. That saves me because I'm always working. But so that I have Nova Scotia is her name because of Nova Scotia. So, and then I play pickleball. I play a lot of pickleball. It's kind of an older person sport, but I'm old. So that's what I do, and I love what I do. I work, some days I'm working from 6 to 6 or 6 to 9, and then some days I'm working from 6 to 2 and playing games, cycling, pickleball, So it varies, but a lot of times I do work hard, late into the night sometimes. But you gotta still enjoy life. So again, this is all these pictures that we have are pictures of work we have done, or houses that we own, and so kind of like I did share a lot about that. But yeah, this house here we bought in the spring, and it was not inhabitable. And we turned it into that, and it went from basically someone not living there to cash flowing. So it's like this rental here is in the city of Harrisburg, and it's a 5-bedroom, and we get $2,000 a month. 5-bedroom, but Section 8 is $2,200, but we don't do Section 8. So again, I started Equitable Builds in 2020, and when I started Equitable, I didn't want just the average name. So like most of growing up Amish, most people will name their business like Smuckers or like X, Y, and Z or their last name, right? I wanted something unique, something different, something out of the box. So I came up with Equitable. Equitable is fair and just. So we want to be fair and just with everybody we do business with. So that's why I started Equitable Builds is to our mission and core values, goals are to basically to restore and renovate the city of Harrisburg. So I have a passion for the city of Harrisburg because it's like, there's Allison Hill is next level. It's basically like a third world nation when you drive through Allison Hill, right? I've been to Papua New Guinea, I've been to Sri Lanka. It's like people shouldn't be living in houses that they're living in. It's like why? And there's slumlords, and people are trying to. It's I don't understand, but we buy all our houses at a discounted rate, and we add a lot of value, and then we refinance. So that's how we're able to do it. People are like, how are you able to do that? Improve your houses how you are, but it's because we buy them at a discounted rate. They're not inhabitable. We buy them, we add value, and then we refinance. And here's another property I own. We actually it's a 2-unit building I bought. It's my first property, actually. I bought this in December of 2019. That's my first property. I had no idea what I was doing. I was just like, okay, whatever. My realtor, I started looking at houses in June of 2019, and I couldn't find anything until like December. I was getting very frustrated. I was like, this is ridiculous. I'm going to give up. But my realtor was like, no, we're going to look at this house and we're going to get it. And I was like, yep. It was listed for 125. This was in 2019, right? 125 for a 2-unit. He's like, we'll offer the 90. I was like, well, we better get it. And he's like, we'll get it. No big deal. And I was like, okay, great. So he put an offer at 90. They counter offer at 97. Well, we was like, great, we'll take it, 97. That was back in 2019. Market was not hot. The market was not as competitive as it's now. But for a 2-unit in the city of Harrisburg, $97,000, it needed work. I did a lot of work to it. I personally did a lot of work to it. And when you're getting started, you get to put a lot of sweat equity into it. So I bought it for 97 with using hard money or private money, and because I didn't have any money at that time. Because in 2019, I just got back from YWAM. I was broke. I had $700 in credit card debt, which I thought was a lot. Now it's like, no, it's not that much, right? Now it's like maybe you have $50,000 in credit card debt. So overall, like when I bought, and to this day, I still buy houses with no money out of pocket. And it's possible if you're willing to put the work in and willing to do it. And because I grew up Amish, like I have that ethic of just like if my guys can't get it done, or if it's overpriced, or someone's gonna we can't do it, or we're running over budget, I'm gonna get out there. I'm gonna finish the project. So because that's how we do it. So this one here is a 2-unit. I bought it for 97, and I went to the hard money lender and asked for $120,000 for a 20. He covered all closing costs. I put $1,000 earnest money deposit down, but I actually got that check back at closing, and $20,000 to do the renovation. So I did all the renovation myself, but I purchased the materials with the $20,000. That's how I was able to accomplish that. And then I went to the bank, and they appraised it for $150,000, I think it was. So when I did a cash out refi, I got $5,000. My first deal, I was like, oh my gosh, I made $5,000. So and I have a property, none of my money involved, $5,000. But now I have the bottom unit as a midterm rental for travel nurses, and we get $2,000 a month for a 1-bedroom. For a 1-bedroom in the city of Harrisburg, that's the interior. It's really nice. It's more modern. Travel nurses. There's a travel nurse staying there that is coming to Hershey to. I think she works at I'm not exactly sure what she's doing there, but she pays $2,000 a month. And then the upstairs unit is a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, and I get $1,500 a month. My mortgage is $800, and I got taxes and insurance. End of the day, I'm probably cash flowing about $2,000 from this property. That's just one of them, and I don't. That's my only midterm rental I have, but we're doing more because I do well. Midterm rentals do well. So, and here is another house we recently did. So throughout my it's been like 4 years now. I buy houses, I sell houses. And mostly I look for the good deals. I get the best deal, right? Like for example, I bought a house. Then my second house I did in 2021, I bought it for $65,000. And this is right before this was right before COVID. So I was like, it was in February. I bought it in February. I sold it in 2021. That's right. Never mind that. I bought it in February of 2020, right before COVID. I closed on it, and like a week later, COVID happened. I was like, oh my gosh, what did I do? And so, but I finished it. Well, actually, I had a permit open on it already with the city of Harrisburg. I called them for an inspection through COVID. They're like, we can't come out. We won't come out for inspection and I was like, well, I guess I just have to wait. But I kind of like did stuff around the house that didn't require inspections, and then finally I was able to come out to do an inspection. And this, because of COVID and because of how it affected everybody, it cost me more money to finish it. But at the end, I decided to actually live in it while I was working on it. So I was living there and working on it, and then I finished it, and I was going to originally sell it for a flip, but I finished it and I decided to live in it, and then I house hacked again. I had a housemate move in with me, and then he joined the Air Force in 2021 in April, and I was like, okay, he's moving out. I don't know what I'm going to do. I said, oh, I put it in the market for a ridiculous price because the market was hot, and I was like, I'll put it in the market for a ridiculous price, see what happens. Sure enough, a couple of days later, or I think like a day later, I get an offer for, it was I think I listed it for $225, and I got an offer for like $209 with a appraisal contingency, which is they were going to pay like $5,000 or $6,000 more than what it would appraise for. So I ended up getting like $212 for the property at the end, and that was my first deal that I made $90,000 profit on that. I spent $50,000 to put into the building. I did the work. I also paid myself in that time because that $50,000 budget is for my time as well. Yes, I wasn't paying myself much, but it's in order to be able to like continue to get by. I'm single. You can live on tight budgets when you're single. But making $90,000, that was like, that boosted my business because I did like, that was the first time I seen a $90,000 profit check come to me. And I was like, so what I did is I went and expanded our fleet of vehicles. I went and bought another vehicle. I bought it in cash because I wanted to buy it that day, but then I went back to the bank and refinanced it a couple months later. And then I refinanced it with 2 other vehicle loans that I had. So, you can get creative with what if you have that certain amount of cash, you can get creative. And then in 2022, I bought a few more houses, did some, I want to share this one story. I bought a 4-unit in Harrisburg for $175,000. I was like, there's something wrong with this property because I got it for so cheap, right? $175,000 for a 4-unit. Sure enough, there was nothing wrong with it. I bought it and did $2,000 in repairs, painted the front of the building. And I went back to the bank and they appraised it each. So it's 2 buildings, semi-detached, and each building is 2 units. And each building appraised for $175,000. So they ended up doing a cash out refi and gave me $80,000, which is crazy to think of. The bank would actually just give you an $80,000 check for a property you bought. And there's no seasoning. There was no seasoning on it. Like I did it the day I closed on it. I contacted the bank to refi, and a month later I refied it. So that's why I work with Bank of Burdenham. But then here, we actually built Reservoir Park. We helped with Steelworks Construction. We were the prime contractor there, building the Chutes and Ladder playground. That in the photo there, it's Jonathan Bowser and the Dauphin County Commissioners, Mike and Mike and George. So I got to meet them. I also got to meet the mayor of Harrisburg, and so kind of like overall, we want to better the city of Harrisburg. We want to bring value, want to add value to people's lives, and that's what I want to do. That's my mission. Is like, you don't need to be in missions. You don't need to be going overseas and doing stuff. You can impact people's lives right here. Right in Harrisburg, right in E-Town. You don't have to be, go to Sri Lanka or go to Papua New Guinea. Yes, you can go there, but it's maybe more just for to like understand how people are actually living. So, by help building this park, I drive by there and there's like tons of kids playing, laughing, and having fun. You don't know if you could impact their lives in a certain way. So, and then we recently, this year, I started buying houses on Penn Street in Harrisburg, and we bought a decent amount of houses on that block, and it was the worst. It was a pretty bad block. So we're buying mostly between Front Street and 6th Street because those are good areas to buy in. Allison Hill is a little tough. It's like we need more people to buy houses to go together and buy houses in the same neighborhood, so we can work together and increase the value, so that you can actually refinance them at the market, rate. So we're working between Front Street and 6th Street and Uptown and Downtown, because those are the areas that, there's okay areas and then there's great areas in Harrisburg, in that certain area. But this street here is in 2100 block of Penn. It's right across from the governor's mansion, from 7-Eleven, Mother Subs, and it was terrible. When we went in there, like, people, the rents were $600. Well, that's what they were paying. But I showed you one of the pictures. We're getting $2,000 now. We want to better everyone's life, but we don't, like, you're like, well, you just increase the rents, right? No, we need to, everyone should. It feels like the government or the city of Harrisburg wants people to stay in the trap and don't want them to get out of, be prosperous. Like, people should not be barely making. There's not high quality jobs that are good paying for everybody. Because there are people that are living on welfare. But increasing value in the neighborhood will bring more people in. It might drive people out, but we want to try to help everyone out if we can. So how can we do that? But yeah, on that block, we've been transforming that block. You would have drove down there at the beginning of the year, you would have you wouldn't want to live there. But now it looks beautiful. The tenants our tenants that are there, they are taking ownership of their house. They are decorating the front porch. They're making it look like something, and that's what we want. We want people that come in there, take ownership of the building, and decorate their front porch, and because that adds value as well. So I'm 23 now. I have 17 or 18 doors right now. I want to have 30 by the end of the year, but that's I don't think that's going to happen. We're running. It's like time's flying. And I might actually sell a few, because we have an opportunity where an investor from New York wants to buy some. They want to get rid of some of their cash, and they want cash flowing assets. So we're considering selling a few, but sometimes you got to step back and you got to decrease to increase later on. So that's what our plan is. If we decrease, then we can buy that 10 unit, 20 unit, and add value. Again, we're buying everything that is distressed, because we want to add value to it. I haven't bought a property that was fixed up ever. Everyone is like, you need to have a vision for it. It's like, I was like, they're inhabitable. You buy them and the roof's leaking, there's structural issues, they're condemned, whatever. Those are the ones we're buying. So we're renovating, restoring our city. That's motivating our people, motivating our employees, motivating our neighbors, motivating our tenants. Again, motivating the people to take ownership. That's what we want to do. That's what we want to do. I want to listen, serve, and connect with our community. So that's that's kind of what we do, and that's kind of a long story short. Like, I grew up Amish, and now I'm here in Harrisburg. I'm making an impact, and that's what I want to do. And I feel like the Lord has me in Harrisburg for a reason. To help bring better housing, better to motivate people to also, because I came from nothing. Anyone can do what I'm doing if you want to. It's like, if you want to put in the work, if you want to go out and get it, because we're in America, land of free. So you can go out and get it, and you can make a change in the world. So if you want to connect with me, you can scan the QR code. All my socials are on there. My phone number's on there. And you can connect with me that way. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer. Yes?
How many banks work for you?
I work with the banks.
Aren't they finding places for you to reach?
No, so that we find all our own deals. So I find them through Facebook, through Instagram, through Zillow, through realtors. I find the properties that or even when I'm on the one block, I knock on the door, like, you want to sell your house, or You know, like the other day, there was a house right next to where I live. I seen there was someone cleaning it out. So I go on Dauphin County website, see who owns it. Then I skip trace and I find their number. I call them up and said, "Hey, I live in the neighborhood, and I see that there's someone moving out. Like, do you want to sell your property?" Meet up with him, and he wants to sell his property. I looked at the house. You know, he has a list of other people he might be selling it to, but I got to talk with him. And then tomorrow morning, he wants to come look at some of our projects because they do want to sell to us, but he wants to see what we're doing. So he wants to see a house that we're working on now, and he wants to see a house that has been completed by us. So, you know, there's different solutions we can offer people like that. Is like he might, you know, we could be like, "Hey, you want to, we split the profits 50-50. We'll put a contract in place. You buy all the materials, we provide all the labor. Then you can sell your house afterwards. Or you sell it to us directly. We'll take care of all that, and then we'll rent it out or refinance, rent it out, or sell it to someone else." So, yeah. Yes.
So 15 years before you were born, there was a movie out called Witness.
Okay.
The Amish community think of that movie.
What do they
Do
think?
you know what the movie
Nope, I do not. So, I grew up born in 2000, right? So I barely remember 9/11. Like that's how, like I don't even remember it. Right?
Get on your phone and look up Witness and watch the movie.
Witness.
Harrison Ford and what's her name? Kelly McGillis. And she was the Amish person that really was hard to believe. It was filmed in intercourse area.
Okay.
And in intercourse. Yeah.
Got.
When you see Dennis next, tell him what you think of the movie.
All right. Definitely.
So I'll tell you,
Yes. Go ahead.
Have you heard of Impact Missions? They're based in Lancaster, and they've been doing this for about 10 years, rebuilding row homes in Lancaster. But they also have a huge store of items donated from all over the place that they collect everything from kitchen cabinets to furniture. They have about 20 countertops of quartz, beautiful quartz at Willow Valley.
Yeah.
Had to give up because they replaced them like 2 years later. It's like horrendous. Money that was blown. It seems that way, but if you're looking for countertops, like they're beautiful.
Yeah. You said Impact.
Impact Mission.
Impact Missions. I have not heard of them, but I'll definitely check them out. Okay.
The head of them, they have like a 10-person team. Some are volunteers. I don't know. It seems like you could connect.
Yeah.
And work together on projects.
Yeah, definitely. No, I appreciate that. I'll definitely look them up. So, yes.
What makes it so unique about your 8th grade Amish education that makes you such an astute business person at such a young age?
I mean, I flunked a grade in Amish. so I mean, I was math. I'm terrible at math. That's why I have a calculator. But so eighth grade education. I'm not. There's nothing special about me, right? You guys are much more educated than I am.
Maybe more educated, not as smart.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, but again, my grandpa. I feel like it's part of it's in my family. Like my grandpa, he was very dumb in school, but he had a successful business, Lancaster Salas or Lancaster Parts and Equipment. And he was the mule guy. Like he did all. It was a Lancaster. He grew up. So my parents grew up in Lancaster, but when they got married, they moved to Millersburg. So like I have roots in Lancaster. So my grandpa was very smart that way. So it's probably just, part of who I am. So I don't know, Yes.
So now that you left the Amish community, are you shunned? Can you go back and talk?
So I never joined the church. So yes, I can still go. I talk to Amish people. A lot of people know that I grew up, like they can tell I'm a smucker because like the smuckers look a certain way. And so I don't know. It's funny. Like I'll be at West Shore Market in Camp Hill area, Lemoyne area, and I'm looking like this, and they're like, "Bist du ein Schmucker?" They say, and I'm like, "Yes," and then I start talking in Pennsylvania Dutch to them. So, people do like since I never joined a church. Yes, they still talk with me. When I first left, I was working for Amish people. I was driving their trucks, working for Amish people. So, but it's a different story if you join the church, then they might shun you. So my dad, he was Amish for 50 years or 57 years, right? So, like, people did shun them, but over years it kind of changes. So people start to like, okay, they forget about it. Is kind of what happens. But in the beginning, it's like, we won't talk to you. They'll talk to me, but not my dad. You know, some of the Amish people, because there's nothing wrong with me. So,
Where do you find your employees?
so I found I used LinkedIn, or not LinkedIn, Indeed. I've used Indeed, but haven't had too good luck. I had a few that still are with us, and then Facebook. Again, for me, it's all about I utilize Facebook like that, or Instagram. So if I post on, Dennis will see me post all the time. I'm looking for help, or looking for this, looking for that, or how can I help you guys? So that's kind of how I find the people that for employees. And by no means it's not easy. It's pretty hard. Actually, managing people is extremely hard. That's probably one of the least things I like about running a business. So, but in order to continue to have a business and grow, you need people. And so, yeah, yes.
Two questions. Glenn mentioned the movie Witness, and in the movie Witness, the Amish people would say, be careful out among the English. Do Amish people call the rest of us English?
Yes. Yep. So growing up, I would have called you guys English and me Amish. But now just like you call ex-Amish and Amish people, they would call you guys English. And now I would probably get called English occasionally here and there from certain people that have no idea. But most people would say ex-Amish.
And the other question is, what's the biggest misconception that we have about the Amish that is off filter? It's not really. You probably heard probably get a bunch of different odd questions. Where did you get that from? Yeah, apparently they're allowed to drink.
Well, they are allowed to drink. I mean, I feel like some of the movies, or I remember what was his name? Amish Lebanon Levi. That was kind of a lot of it. That's a lot. A lot of that's, yes, some of that is true, but not most of it would kind of give a misconception. People would be like, is that really true? In certain areas, not for every Amish person. Again, or every Amish community. Amish communities change a lot between from Millersburg to Ohio there's Amish communities everywhere, but it changes. Like Peach Bottom, they're extremely plain. Some of them still have lanterns on their carriages for lights. Some of them have not battery operated lights and are like fancy buggies, right? They're more advanced, and so it changes by the district or community. Yes. Yes.
My wife has a brother-in-law named Eli Smucker.
That's my dad. My dad's name is Eli Smucker, though.
Well, Eli, of course, grew up in an Amish community in the church and 8th grade education. But he never joined, so he really never left. And because he never joined the church, he was never shunned. He was always welcome back home.
Yeah.
All his brothers continued to be Amish. He has a great relationship with them all. He would come into Joyce's home, and and dating Betty, he would devour the Encyclopedia Britannica. I mean, he was a Mason. He got lots of money as a life. Well, he's retired now. Mason. He is just so smart.
Yeah.
What is there about an 8th grade education that makes you so smart?
I mean, I think it allows people. I think for me, it allowed me to actually like invest time into something I wanted to do, or I had to learn on my own about whatever topic or whatever I wanted to do. So I think that might have a play in it. Is like, okay, when one person, like, they're not forced to, you're like, okay, 8th grade, you're done, right? What are you going to do? You might go for a job, but after a while, you're like, okay, I'm working a job, and it's not really what you want to do. So you dig into a topic, or for me, read books, listen to podcasts. After I left Amish, I was listening to a lot of podcasts, I listened to a lot of audiobooks. And that's kind of how I got my knowledge. In today's world, you can find anything on the internet. YouTube, Google, not everything's true on Google, but you can learn a lot from the internet. And I think that's kind of how But back in the day, I don't know how they, but I think it comes from just putting everything, like just going all in on a topic, and that's kind of yes.
My sister's neighbors are Amish, and David and Elizabeth never had children, and they're a blessing to my sister, who's a widow. But he'll be out there with the horse or the mule pulling a gas-powered mower with the horse. Why?
I asked the same questions. It's like they use horses in the field, right? But they use a tractor on the road. Why? They have, like, you're not allowed to use the tractor to pull equipment through the field, but you're allowed to drive the tractor on the road pulling equipment, or on the dirt lane pulling equipment, but you're not allowed to use the tractor to, like, mow the hay or build the hay. I don't understand. Like, I'm too young to, like. I don't think the Amish people all understand either. It's like they just do it because it's been a thing. You would think after some time they would. They have all these electric scooters, right? Why can't you just have an electric bike? Or electric car? It's the same thing. So I don't know. I'm always confused.
Well, and
Yeah.
he was a minister too.
Yes.